All right, y'all, today we'll be making a Louisiana style snow crab boil along with some Cajun butter. Now to do that, we have to start off by prepping all our ingredients. As you'll notice, we'll use every part of every vegetable that we're prepping. You can kind of look at it as a stock. Every piece of the vegetable is going to go in to add some more flavor. We're going to cut our celery into bite-sized pieces because not only does it flavor it, it acts as a good snack on the side. Next, we're going to come with our onion. You don't have to take the skin off because it'll fall off in a boil. You'll see it later, but you just don't have to waste your time peeling all the skin off. So far we had a whole stalk of celery, and we're going to come with about 3 onions. In the boil, the whole flavor profile will change and it'll become nice and sweet. Now for one of my favorite parts, the garlic. We're going to add a whole pound of that. Just like the onion, you do not have to remove the skin, and it helps keep all the garlic together so it's not just floating around. And this is one of the best flavors in the whole boil. And we're going to also use these boiled onions and garlic to be the base of our Cajun butter later. Now we're going to add some citrus flavor. I like to come with about 5 oranges. This will add a nice sweetness to counteract that spicy, and just oranges and lemons just go perfect with a seafood boil. After we slice up all our oranges, we're going to come with about 4 or 5 lemons as well. A lot of people will tell you that the lemon in the boil helps separate the meat from the shell to make it easier to peel, but I just like the flavor of lemon with any type of seafood. And you can choose to squeeze or don't squeeze this into the boil. All the juice will separate in the boil itself, so you don't have to go all the extra mile to do extra work. When it comes to seafood boils, sides are key. It's important because seafood is so expensive and you want to make sure that you have enough sides to fill people up. The math is quite simple. The more sides, the less seafood you're going to eat. Now, the most prominent sides in a Louisiana boil will be your corn, sausage, and potatoes. From there, the sky is the limit. You could add anything from Brussels sprouts, turkey necks, eggs, mushrooms, anything. I've even seen people go as far as putting pineapples, but today we only going to use potatoes and corn. And you can put the potatoes in whole, but I just like to slice them up so they have a shorter cook time and the flavor gets through it better. Choose whatever potatoes you want, but my favorite will be red potatoes. Now that everything's prepped, let's move on. Now, usually when I'm making a smaller boil, I'll use this one burner, but since the crab legs are so large, we're going to go ahead with a different one. Now, I love when I'm able to pop this one out. It's larger, so I don't use it as often, but when crawfish season comes around, it gets to work. This one has a double burner, so it gets the water hotter faster, so that's the biggest perk of this. On full blast, and depending on how much water you have in your pot, you can get a rolling boil in anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, which is pretty insane seeing how much water can fit in here. And one of the most slept on features of this whole thing is just being able to lift this out without straining your bag. And this is not sponsored, I just love this boiler. Let's carry on. And as I said earlier, you don't really have to squeeze it. If you want something for the kids to feel like they're involved, let them squeeze the juice in there, but it's not necessary. You can just go ahead and dump all of your prepped vegetables and fruit into the pot. We're going to give this a little head start in the water for about 5 to 10 minutes just to get those flavors to start going throughout. Then we're going to go ahead with our seasonings. You can use whatever blends you want. This is just the one that I use for my boil when it comes to crab legs. And I have the exact measurements in the description so y'all can check that out. It's essentially a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, Cajun seasoning. I found this buttery garlic and herb seasoning that I think goes well with crab legs, some cayenne pepper for spice, salt, and buku of the seafood boil seasoning. This that buttery garlic and herb seasoning right there. And I know what you're saying. This may look like a lot of seasoning, but this is a lot of water. And again, y'all gonna say, oh, you're watering down the flavor of the actual crab leg. This is just how we do it in Louisiana, and we like that flavor all throughout the seafood. If you like to just steam your crab legs and eat them like that, be my guest. This is just how I do mine. Now we're going to come with some concentrated liquid seafood boil. It's very potent, along with a whole bottle of hot sauce. Not only does the hot sauce add a spicy flavor, it has a vinegar base. So just like people say the lemon helps make the shell easy to peel, they say the same concept applies with the hot sauce. But I just like the way the flavors go. And it's always better to find a hot sauce that has a top you can just pop off and pour it, so you're not looking like me trying to struggle to get all this hot sauce in there. Now, I wish y'all could smell this. You could just look at all that flavor. And just like I always say, if you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. You can use this blend on crawfish, crab, shrimp, turkey necks, turkey wings, all that. To me, when people say they don't like this style of seafood boil, it just tells me that they don't like flavor. I don't know. That's just what I get from it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and add our potatoes and let that boil for about 15 minutes. Based on the size of your potatoes, it might take longer or shorter to cook. So just check it out until it's nice and fork tender. They should be full of flavor and ready to go. You can take them out or let them absorb some more of that flavor by soaking in the water, but we're about to turn the fire off right now. Now, in a typical boil with live seafood, we go ahead and keep that fire going, bring it to a boil, cook it turn the heat off, and then add the frozen corn to stop that cooking process. And that's when you let it soak and absorb all those flavors. But since our crab legs are already frozen and cooked, we can skip the whole cooking process and then go straight to the soak. Today we're using colossal crab legs, hence why we had to use the bigger pot. These are about almost a pound a cluster. At a seafood restaurant, you can pay upward of $30 for one of these crab legs, so you can do the math with that. And here we have about 14 clusters. You can also go to those same seafood restaurants and just ask for them frozen in the box. This box ran us about $120. Sometimes you can catch them on sale when they have too many of them, and they'll give you the whole box for $99. And that's just a steal to get colossal crab legs this size for under $10 a pound. I'm saying this to say, do the work at home and it's well worth it. Again, at this point, the water is still hot, but it's not boiling. So we're just going to let these crab legs soak for about 15 minutes or so, or however long you want. The longer you let them soak, the more flavor that they'll absorb. So basically, longer soak means spicier flavor. And like I told y'all at the beginning, that onion will not need to be peeled because look how easy it comes off now after it's in the boil. It's developed a sweet flavor. It's spicy. It's tender. You can eat it just like this if you want. But we're going to go a step further. And again, I told y'all this is going to be the base of our butter, the garlic and onions. We're going to clean it up, chop it up. You can add this to a food processor or just slice it by hand because it's tender. It's not going to take much to do. Once it's minced up to your liking, we're going to go ahead and put that to the side. And then we're going to come with our garlic. The garlic is so flavorful. It's one step below roasted garlic. Roasted garlic is my favorite. But this, you could take this, squeeze it out, spread it on top, some toast, put some cheese, pop it in the oven. And I'm telling y'all, it's pressure. We're going to go ahead and chop this up till it's essentially a paste. And then we're going to add it in with our onions. And you could chop up fresh onion and garlic, but why not just use what you already have from the boil? Now, this is my cheat code when it comes to making a butter sauce, just like restaurants will use, and you'll wonder why their crab butter never solidifies. This is why. It has a great flavor and it's easy to work with. Or you could always just go and use the real butter. Now in a hot pan, we can add about a cup of our butter. Since the onions and garlic are already cooked, we are really just meshing it with the butter to add that flavor into it. So mix it up, let that flavor come together. And this is really a very simple sauce to make. We're going to add a few other things and we'll be good to go. First, we're going to come with a little bit of that concentrated liquid seafood boil. A little goes a long way. Squeeze in half of a lemon. I told y'all lemon juice goes with seafood perfectly, so add some of that in there. You're going to mix that up and then come with a little bit of brown sugar just to add some sweetness to counteract that spiciness that's coming from the butter and the seafood. Again, be my guest. You can eat the crab leg straight out the pot as is or with some regular butter, but this is just how we like to do ours. Throw in a little Cajun seasoning along with some paprika, and remember, if you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. Doctor this butter up to your liking. I'm just giving y'all the base. You can add whatever you want, from ginger, garlic powder, onion powder, all the other things that you want to add. The choice is yours. Whatever flavors you like, go with it. Sometimes I'll use my immersion blender to blend it up and get it to a smoother consistency. Sometimes we just like those pieces of the garlic and onion chunky in there. So based on how you're feeling that day, go with that. Now that's all there is to it. Now we're going to go ahead and check on our crab legs. We let them soak for about 20 minutes. Pop them out and look at that. Yes, Lord. There's so much flavor throughout this. If you haven't had a Louisiana style boil of any sort, you need to try it at least one time in your life just to get the experience. Don't let the size of the boil intimidate you. You can do a smaller boil with the same concepts inside. Just use a smaller pot, less seafood. And if you're scared you're going to mess it up, start off with something cheap like shrimp. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment what you like, what you don't like. Make sure y'all go check out all those other recipes on the page, like the Louisiana style boiled crawfish. And just like my name, you're all done.